This election season, you've likely heard fascism and fascist bandied about regularly, probably as an insult or a prophecy of future danger. Most people know next to nothing about fascism other than that Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini controlled fascist regimes. Political operatives exploit this ignorance to implicitly connect people and policies they dislike with these brutal legacies. As Christians, we have a responsibility to tell the truth. So, what does fascism actually refer to, and why does it matter if we use it correctly? Here's what you need to know. Let's start with a little background. Fascism refers to a specific kind of totalitarian government with unique ideological, social, economic, and contextual characteristics. Experts widely hail Mussolini as the original fascist. He became Prime Minister of Italy in 1922 and spent the next several years violently consolidating power. 11 years later, Hitler modeled his dictatorship on Mussolini's. Let's talk about ideology. Fascists hold these 4 fundamental beliefs. First, national identity outweighs individual identities and interests. Fascist regimes prioritize national unity over every other value. The government determines the identity and direction of the nation and expects citizens to unify behind its vision. Individual identities, independent institutions, and dissenting political parties threaten national unity, so the state violently stifles or eliminates them. Second, some people are worth more than others. Fascists deem some people superior to others based on arbitrary characteristics, one of which is generally nationality. Hitler and Mussolini both championed extreme nationalism, arguing that German and Italian citizens were biologically superior to other humans. Hitler identified Jewish people as inferior, leading to the Holocaust. Mussolini committed atrocities in Ethiopia by claiming people with dark skin were less than human. Third, the nation must be purified through revolution. Fascist regimes encourage citizens to destroy existing institutions to become better. The Council on Foreign Relations writes, "In many ways, fascist regimes are revolutionary in nature. They advocate for the overthrow of existing systems of government and the persecution of political enemies." Fourth, fascist regimes say violence is justified. Fascist power is consolidated and maintained with violence, usually by the military or a secret police force. Dissenters and inferior humans are killed. The emerging culture of fear stifles future dissent before it begins. Now let's talk about the structure of fascist regimes. In these governments, powerful dictators steal all-powerful, centralized regimes. Together, they control every aspect of society, including the attitudes, morals, and beliefs of the people. Fascist dictators generally cultivate a cult of personality around themselves, which ultimately conflates allegiance to the dictator with allegiance to the state they run. Fascism is also associated with militarization. Dictators' outsized focus on war is both ideological and time-specific. On one hand, fascism arose during the World Wars, when military readiness promised protection and power. On the other hand, strong militaries enable dictators to subjugate people they deem inferior, which is an inherent part of fascist belief. Now let's look at fascists' economic beliefs. Fascists embrace capitalism controlled by the government. This is called corporatism, and it requires industries to form government-controlled trade unions that decide how to control wages and working conditions. The government gets the ultimate say. Often, those trade unions agree on business practices favoring the rich, increasing the wealth gap between citizens. Now let's talk about some modern misconceptions. Fascism takes common values to uncommon extremes, a nuance often lost in modern use of the term. Nationalism, for instance, is not inherently fascist. Nationalists might believe governments have a responsibility to provide for their own citizens before providing for people from other countries. Fascists, by definition, believe people of a certain nationality are more valuable than other humans. This is extreme nationalism, and few people believe it. Even an extreme nationalist is not by themselves a fascist, because fascism refers to a specific conglomeration of beliefs and practices. In the same way, a government can be totalitarian without being fascist. People who throw fascism around frequently use it like a punchy synonym for violent dictatorship. But lots of governments can sustain violent dictatorships. Fascism's most unique trait is arguably its endorsement of state-controlled capitalism, not its leadership style. Fascism enabled governments to commit grave acts of evil, including the first mechanized genocide. It's too serious a word to use carelessly or inaccurately. But today, fascism's brutal connotations are being milked for political points. Anyone can be labeled a fascist for virtually any reason, and most people won't bat an eye. Genuine fascism occurred in a span of less than 3 decades, almost a century ago. Calling a fellow American a fascist today is a lie, and an ignorant one. Let's relegate our use of fascism to people who really deserve it, and find some better words to describe people and policies we disagree with.